In the darkest corners of America's wilderness, something waits, something ancient, something feral. It walks like a man but stalks like a wolf. Witnesses call it the Dogman. These aren't legends born around campfires, they're real stories from real people. And tonight we dive into 4 of the most chilling encounters ever reported. Our first account dates back to 1887 in Wexford County, Michigan. 2 lumberjacks, Eli and Thomas, worked deep in the northern woods, clearing timber for the growing railroad industry. These were men of grit and survival, used to wolves, bears, and worse. But that winter evening brought something they'd never prepared for. They noticed it first in the silence. The birds, gone. The wind, still. The forest seemed to be holding its breath. As they worked, Eli spotted movement, something dark, moving upright behind the trees. Thomas laughed it off as a trick of the shadows. But then came the howl. A terrible sound, deep and rising into a scream that rattled their bones. The creature stepped into view. Towering over them, covered in matted fur, with long arms that ended in clawed hands. Its face was unmistakably canine, but its eyes held thought, hunger, hate. They ran, tools abandoned. Years later, they would still recount that day, warning young loggers to never linger near that part of the forest. This was the first documented encounter of what would become Michigan's most feared cryptid, the Dogman. It's 1937, Paris, Michigan. Robert Fortney, a World War I veteran and avid outdoorsman, often hunted alone near the riverbanks outside town. That day, he had just bagged a rabbit and was enjoying the quiet when he heard rustling in the brush. Then came growling. At first, he thought it was wolves. He'd seen packs before. But what emerged wasn't a wolf. It was taller, much taller, muscular, covered in dark fur. What terrified him most was that it wasn't walking on all fours. The creature was upright. 2 legs, its posture unnatural, its gait like that of a human, but with a predator's precision. Yellow eyes locked onto him, and he froze. More shapes gathered behind it. Normal dogs, growling and yipping. But this one, this leader, didn't bark, it just watched. Robert raised his rifle, fired once, then again. The thing didn't flinch until the 3rd shot grazed its shoulder, at which point it snarled and vanished into the underbrush. He made it back to town shaken and pale. To his dying day, he maintained, that was no dog, that was something else. This story laid the foundation for the Dogman's reappearance half a century later. Fast forward to December 1993, Ottawa County, Michigan. Ben, a 17-year-old high school student, had just returned from a friend's house. It was late. The roads were slick with fresh snow. He parked in the driveway, headlights casting long beams into the misty woods beyond his backyard. As he stepped out, he heard a heavy crunch in the snow. He turned, expecting to see a deer, or maybe his neighbor's dog. Instead, he froze. Standing near the edge of the woods was a massive figure. 7 feet tall easily, broad shoulders, a long snout. Its breath fogged in the cold air, and its eyes reflected the red of his brake lights. Ben screamed and stumbled back into his car, locking the doors. The creature didn't charge, it just stood there, watching, before vanishing into the trees. What's stranger is what happened exactly 1 year later. A local driver reported hitting a large animal on that same road, but when he got out to check, no body, just a tuft of thick gray fur stuck in the grill of the car. Lab analysis reportedly showed it wasn't from any known canine species. The sightings continued sporadically in that area for years, with locals calling it the Ottawa Howler. But the most infamous Dogman case? That comes from Elkhorn, Wisconsin, a quiet farming town until the late 1980s. The sightings began along a stretch called Bray Road. People reported seeing a creature crouch by the roadside, eating roadkill, or chasing after cars. Sometimes it was just eyes in the dark, other times full body. One woman, driving home on Halloween night, saw something hunched over in the road. As she passed, it leapt onto her trunk, leaving deep scratches. She made it home and found claw marks running down the back of her car. A farmer reported seeing the creature in his cornfield multiple times. On one occasion, he claimed it watched him from the tree line for over 10 minutes, never moving. Local animals went missing. Pets vanished. Others returned injured, as if mauled by something much larger than a coyote or bear. Linda Godfrey, a local journalist, was the first to take it seriously. What started as a human interest story quickly became an investigation. She interviewed dozens of witnesses. Their stories didn't change. Their fear was real. They all described the same thing: a hulking wolf-like creature, bipedal, intelligent, and not afraid of humans. What she uncovered wasn't myth, it was a pattern, and it continues to this day. Are these creatures relics of an ancient world, shapeshifters from forgotten myths? Or are they something else, something science can't yet explain? One thing is certain, those who've seen the Dogman never forget it, and they never walk in the woods the same way again.